Hello, Internet! Shouth is here, and it's time for another episode of ShoutStone. We are continuing our series of the starter decks here in Hearthstone, the free games, basically. And we are moving forward through all 9 of these decks. We've already covered a few of them, but let's move on to talk about the warrior deck, Garrosh Hellscream. So the warrior deck, a lot of what the warrior is about is armor. Armor is a big thing, and a lot of abilities that are in warrior minions and, of course, his hero power center around armor and having that extra layer of protection. And if you can't manage it as an opposing player, a warrior can just stack on more and more and more and more armor and become incredibly formidable. They also have a lot of really powerful melee attacks built into them, as well as things they can do for their minions. But we'll look into some of that as we start this game. So let's go ahead and pick on Malfurion some more. And we're just going to show off the starter warrior deck, try and get you an introduction to the class a little bit, and then we'll hopefully be able to dive into some expert level play sometime in the future. But here's an example of the starter. Heroic Strike is a big example of some of the formidable skills that the deck has. Again, the minions common across the entire board pretty much. But we'll go ahead and get this rolling and try to show you what it's about. So right now I'm still just kind of dealing with, the same minions that you'll see in any deck, so I can't really give you a good example of how the warrior plays. But you'll see a bit of how it all kind of pans out a little bit more as we go along. But anyway. I'm going to save my Heroic Strike till later. Just get a few more minions out there. Let Malfurion keep blowing his hero power. Alright, I got my one swing on it, I don't care anymore. But anyway, yes, so a lot of things also about the warrior deck is weaponry, and that was something I talked about previously. There's a lot of different weapons and a lot of cards that will give you weaponry or increase the power of weapons and things like that, which also means that warriors pair really well as pirate decks, because mostly pirate cards revolve around the weapon that your hero has and how effective that is. So things like that can be pretty useful. So that's a really good example of some of the abilities you can do with this deck. And again, armor is a big factor in what you can do. So he just spent 2 minions to not take one of mine out. Okay. You say so. Warslunk Commander, here's a good one. So a lot of the warrior deck is designed around aggression, too. So a card like this means that you can just head right into action headlong and just start beating stuff up. So if I play that alongside a Tide Hunter, we're going to be able to do a little bit of damage here. So I'm going to go ahead and just take him out, use the little guy, and do a bit of that. So there's not a lot of things such as AoE in this type of deck. There's not a lot of things like, what else would I be looking at here? AoE or control in a warrior deck. Yeah, I just spent 3 minions to take one out, but, it's AI, so I don't really care. I'm just trying to demonstrate how to do this stuff without dealing with too much crap. But anyway, yeah, so you're looking at pretty aggressive play. Not a lot of stuff to contain your opponent. Nothing in the way of really of heals or anything like that, unless you happen to have a neutral minion that does it for you. But that's about it. Oh, and I should have attacked there, but I didn't. Whatever. Get ogre party pretty soon. I'm good with that. So there, we'll pop our armor and we'll start doing that. We'll see if we can do that every turn. Once you get into this point, the more you can stack up your armor, the better, if you can. Little healing abilities just are annoyances. Alright, other aspect of warrior decks. It's a little hard to say. I mean, they are, to be perfectly honest, just very basic type decks, you know? There's nothing wrong with them. But like I said, they revolve a lot around aggression, a lot around weapon play, things like that. Stuff that, you know, unfortunately you just don't really see in this type of deck. Here, I'm going to take him out with my little guy. So. Yeah, you just don't see too much of it with, you know, with the starter decks. But that's what the warrior deck's designed around. So I try to introduce you into the starter decks, not so much to be like, you know, you're stuck with this. Because even if you never put a dime into Hearthstone, to be completely honest, you will get cards. You will earn gold through free wins. You can play Arena for free. Excuse me. You can play the Arena for free. You can just burn through all that sort of stuff. So, you know, there's no reason to worry about being stuck with a particular type of, like, a particular amount of cards or anything like that, because it's not the way it works, you know. So I like to make sure you got a fair introduction into what the heroes are about, and all of that sort of stuff. But pretty much gonna end, well, almost end the game here, but that's okay. So my charge is gone, but that's okay. All right, so here's another one. Execute, a good way to take minions out, and we'll just use it so you can kind of see how it works. And that comes in very handy when you pair it with you know, high value cards if you don't have good opposition to it. But other than that, there's a lot of good little options like that in a warrior deck. But that's really what it's about. Armor, aggression, weapons. You'll find that these decks, as you've probably seen throughout the previous episodes we've done, are designed very similar to their World of Warcraft class counterparts. You know, what does a warrior do in World of Warcraft? He has a lot of armor, he's aggressive, and he deals damage. He smashes you in the face. That's what a warrior deck does in Hearthstone. So, well, there you go. So there's the warrior deck in a nutshell, and there you have it. That's going to do it for this episode of ShoutStone. I'll be back with more. Again, we've got 5 more of these decks to go through, so don't miss those. But thanks very much for watching. Once again, you can find me on Facebook and Twitter. Links are in the description. You can subscribe so you can get daily updates when these videos go live. And more and more and more. You know the routine. Thanks again. See you next time.